All right, everybody, we have some interesting new developments. Ryan, you just wrote a new piece about how Trump appears to be fixating more on Bernie Sanders and the Bernie Sanders phenomenon. You guys actually have a supercut, kind of the recent mentions of Trump talking about this. Let's take a listen to this and let's discuss.
And Bernie is going up. He's surging. Bernie is crazy, Bernie. He's surging. The Democrats are taking their cues from socialist Bernie Sanders and that group. But taking their cues from socialist Bernie Sanders, AOC, all these people. Liberal lawmakers are pushing a government takeover of health care that would strip 180 million Americans of their private health insurance. Bernie Sanders' health care plan would cost over $32 trillion a year. That's more money than we make in 5 years. That's more money than we'll ever make. Bernie Sanders, crazy Bernie. He is indeed crazy. No, he's... Oh, let me take that back. No, it's a great plan that we have to consider strongly.
There was a guy, I like that, the live fact check. I'd be like, no, maybe he's not crazy. Maybe he's not crazy.
He's not that crazy.
I mean, generally, I can give you my own insight before we talk about this. I know, having spoken with a lot of members, especially people who were originally with Trump, like 2015 Trump people, they're very worried about Bernie. So talking with a lot of members of the populist right, the GOP right, they couldn't be more excited. They're like, bring it. Yeah. We've been ready to run a socialism Venezuela
We've been running against socialism for 30 years.
They were running. They're like, and I'm like, you people called Obama a Marxist and lost to, you had Mitt Romney of all people who ran against him. Obama was an eminently beatable president in 2012. I really believe that. And they ran the worst possible campaign and weren't able to exploit the real populist energy emanating from the housing crisis. I'm sure you understand that really well. I mean, give us your insight, just how you kind of see it, this Trump-Bernie dynamic. It's fascinating for me because Trump is grappling with this in real time.
Right. He
has his advisors. They're like, say socialist, talk about Medicare for all, blah, blah, blah. But in his mind, I mean, we had that leaked recording, right, where he's like, Bernie, I was most scared of Bernie. And he's right to be. He absolutely should be. I think he's right. 20% of the Bernie trade vote probably went to Trump.
That's exactly what I've been hearing, too, is that there's this split, both among his advisors, and it does break down along the OGs, who are the real populists. They
who won Trump the election.
Right, they get the kind of energy behind populism. Then the professionals who are like, oh, we can beat a socialist, and then Trump himself. And there's this fun kind of synchronicity in strategy that results because the strategists who think that Bernie should be elevated because he can be beaten, they want Trump attacking Bernie because they think when Trump attacks Bernie, that actually helps him in the Democratic primary. And I think they're actually right about that point. But Trump is so narcissistic that he thinks that if he attacks Bernie Sanders,
that he'll kill him,
He thinks, oh, I'm crushing this guy with my bits at the rallies and my tweets and my crazy Bernie name. But there's something behind it that shows that he might not even believe some of his own bluster, because he doesn't come at Bernie with the same panache as he does others.
He respects him. I can tell you, like, personal experience, I know Trump respects Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, so you come out and you're like, he's really good on trade, but I'm a little better. Like, that's not Trump.
It doesn't round, it doesn't sound, there ain't no slogan.
He's crazy Bernie.
Yeah.
Well, he's not so crazy.
Yeah, right. No, and Trump Trump ran the exact same type of campaign where the media was against him, everybody was against him, all of that. So he understands perfectly the dynamics. I mean, part of his stump speech in 2016 was Bernie got screwed by the DNC. I mean, he knows exactly what that's like. And I can say from the inside, I think Trump is very worried about Bernie. I think he understands. I mean, we had that Daily Beast story that we like to cite here about how Trump has privately told advisors socialism is going to be a lot harder than you think to be. I think that's right. I mean, I did a monologue here a few months ago where, older voters, I think the socialism stuff actually does kind of work. I think if you're like above 65, maybe. But if you're young and you're like, listen, man, I got $100,000 in student debt, and I literally don't have health insurance, and there's somebody out there who's like, hey, I'm going to do something about that for you. And Trump and the older Republicans are like, but that's socialism. They're like, look, I don't care what you call it. I've got thousands of dollars a month in student payment, and I'm never going to own a house, and I can't get married and have kids, and if you call it socialism, then whatever. And I think Tucker said this the best the other day. He said, whichever candidate makes it so that 30-year-olds in this country can get married and have kids faster will win the election and deserves to. I think that's broadly right. I mean, that's really where the dividing line in the country is right now.
Yeah, the Berlin Wall came down in 1989.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the same year that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was born.
Yeah, it's before I was born.
So it's an entire generation of people who are like, what's this socialism thing? Now, the other thing that we need to thread into this Trump psychology is Bloomberg.
Right.
He is also obsessed, and I reported this in the Intercept story. He's obsessed with Bloomberg because, particularly because of the money. You know, he's talking $1 billion, $2 billion. Trump is out sweating it to raise money. He's not a kind of guy that's going to spend his own money on this race. So he's
got a juggernaut chest, like treasure chest. I mean, what is $150 million cash on hand? But it's not Bloomberg.
Right. Where Bloomberg can just hit a keystroke at his computer and boom. Plussed up $2 billion.
Let me ask you this, Ryan. Do you think Bloomberg says he's going to spend money for Sanders? What does that look like? Because Sanders is so diametrically opposed to Bloomberg. You know, we had Max Alvarez on the show yesterday, and he was talking about how Bloomberg says he's not bought by special interests. But when you're worth $60 billion, that is a special interest.
Right.
Like your income is an interest.
You are one. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So
how does that dynamic work? What do you think?
I think I think he does it in the same way he's done a lot of his activism, which is sophisticated polling and focus groups. And so he goes to Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Virginia, and he tries to figure out what types of ads and where can I spend money that moves the needle. And he'll get all the smartest guys in the room and come together and tell them money is no object.
And he's going to do that for Sanders, though?
Trump thinks he's going to do it for Sanders because Trump thinks that Bloomberg doesn't necessarily want to be president, would love to, but he wants to own the next president.
Yes.
And to somebody like Trump, they think that, look, you spend $2 billion, you elect Bernie Sanders, you own Bernie Sanders. Now, I don't necessarily think that's...
I think he's going to own him, but Bernie's going to owe him something. I mean, that is how it works.
So, I think Trump thinks the combination of Bloomberg spending $2 billion, and Bernie can't stop him from spending this money.
Right.
He can do whatever he wants with his money because of Citizens United, plus Bernie's socialistic appeal to the 35 and under people you talked about, is a deadly combination.
I think he's right, and I think that they need to significantly change their strategy. I've been so annoyed on this show to see them flying socialism sucks banners at every Democratic rally. I'm like, are you people out of here setting money on fire? Okay, like go, actually talk about trade and manufacturing, all the things that Trump ran on in 2016. But I digress. All right, next on Rising, former advisor to Hillary and Bill Clinton, Richard Goodstein. He weighs in on Hillary's latest comments about the 2020 election. That's next.